ton members. This is your founder, Angela Caban, and I just wanted to do a really quick video today for my National Guard and Reserve spouses and families out there. You'll have to excuse me because my son is home today, and I'm going to try to do this quickly as possible without any interruption. So if I say a lot, and if you see me a little distracted, that's the reason why. We've had so much snow here in the Northeast. I'm in Pennsylvania, and we haven't had the chance to really take that time. Well, I haven't had the time to take it to myself because my son's been off from school so often lately. It's at least he's been missing 2 days a week, what it's been like now. So hopefully the snow will be melting soon because it's very sunny outside today, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I woke up this morning and was such in a good mood and said, you know what, I'm gonna vlog. And as you can notice, I am rocking my new MASH t-shirt. My husband is a 68 whiskey medic, which I'm actually really excited to say that because he was toying with the idea of changing his MOS, and I wasn't too thrilled with it, but it was his decision. 13 years as a field combat medic. If he wanted to do something different, I mean, who am I to stand in his way? So he actually did tell me the other day as I was buying the t-shirt to buy the t-shirt because he was going to stay a medic, and eventually when he finishes OCS and goes to school for that, he will hopefully be a doctor in the Army, which is pretty cool. Besides saying that I'm married to a man in uniform, I'm married to a doctor. That's pretty cool. So enough about that. There I go again with the ums. But I really did want to focus a little bit on the National Guard and Reserves because I have been hearing a lot of things lately with the active components not really appreciating who the National Guard and Reserve is. And one thing I just want to say flat out, I am not bashing anything because again, I am for every branch, I'm for every service member always. But I do get a little discouraged and upset because I have been through that myself when I hear spouses or family members saying that they're being shunned by the active community because they are Guard or Reserve. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that Guard and Reserve really aren't all that much different than the active components, being that yes, they do have a civilian job. We don't live on base, and if anything, I think that makes it more difficult for the families when they deploy. For many of you that are familiar with the Guard and Reserves, you will be nodding your head yes, that it is a very difficult transition, especially when returning from a deployment and trying to transition into the civilian sector. It's very, very difficult. We had a very hard time with that when my husband returned from deployment, being that you're used to this one set way, this mentality, and then you're thrown into the civilian world where it's completely, totally different. And anybody that is either been in the past, you know, living the civilian life to what they are now, the Guard and Reserve, you know how difficult it is. And it's not just a matter of 1, 2, 3, you're back. It's not. And we constantly struggle with that every day because my husband was active for, I believe it was 8 years, and then he went into the reserves. That was a totally different, you know, way of living as he was when he was on active. And then when I met him, he, you know, was still in the reserves, and he did a little bit of time going back and forth to active duty. It was difficult, you know. He definitely had some problems transitioning to that, and now that we're a Guard family, we hear it from all ends, you know, oh, you're just Guard. Well, a couple facts about the Guard is when they're ready to deploy, you can get, we got, I believe, a 2 to 3 week notice, which was really hard because again, we went from trying to transition into the civilian lifestyle, and then when we finally got a little bit comfortable with it, you get the order saying you're leaving, and we had no support, no anything from his unit. They would try to organize meetings, which was great, but guess what? When you're a full-time working person, which I was, a mom, it was kind of hard to coordinate around my schedule as well as, you know, going to school and things like that. So the flexibility was not there. They didn't have anyone I can speak to when I needed that encouragement, which made it difficult. And being that they only gave us the 2 weeks notice, we were kind of just like, okay, well now what? He left for SRP, which is a soldier readiness program, and that adds on to the deployment. So it's not just their 15-month deployment, because the Army deploys 15 months, well at least he did, changes every day, but that's the norm. I mean, there was a time when we were deploying for 18 months. So not to put down the other branches, you know, where most branches deploy, what, 6, 7, maybe 8 months, but that's very difficult. He was gone for a very long time with SRP. I believe it was 3 months, and then he did get to come home for a couple weeks during Christmas, which was nice. But again, it was going off to active, coming back home, leaving again. Then he actually had to come back home, but was sent home for a couple days in between. And in the middle of this, I'm flip-flopping back and forth in emotions, and I know it sounds horrible to say, but I just wanted him gone. Get out, go, do what you need to do so that you could come back to us, but don't keep coming back and forth. That was horrible, and especially with a 2-year-old at the time who wanted his daddy, and then daddy had to leave, and then daddy was home and daddy had to leave. It was a horrible transition, and I don't know if many of you out there go through that, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, that's what it is, and it's a horrible way to constantly look at it, you know, and to wake up saying, well, he might be coming home, and then you get your hopes high. And that happened a lot too, where we were supposed to have a not a homecoming, farewell bash thing, but he ended up leaving 2 days before the farewell bash. Well, guess what? I didn't go to that farewell bash because I didn't want to say goodbye to him again. I already said goodbye to him. My heart, my mind, physically, everything, I was prepared for him to be gone, and I didn't want to do that again, especially put my son through another goodbye, more crying, all that again. And he agreed with me. He agreed that it was not the right time to go through that again. And he was just as, you know, understanding as he should have been in that situation. So that's just a couple things that, you know, the active components as well as civilians need to understand, that we're not just National Guard, or we're not just Reserve. And I'm not sitting here trying to say, oh, we're better, because we're all the same. And that's another thing too that I've been hearing a lot lately, where all this branch bashing back and forth. You know, seriously, is it really that important? I just don't, I don't waste my time on that. I'm an advocate for all, you know, all branches, and I think they all serve their purpose, and they're all important. If not, they wouldn't be there. Simple as that. So again, to the Guard and Reserves, a couple of things. What I did, as you should know, is that I had to go out there, make my own, I had to make myself available to other people, make myself known. You really just have to get out there and find people in your area, and it can be difficult depending on where you live and how far the installation is, your military installation. I have one about half an hour from us, and not too many people actually live there. You know, there's a PX, commissary, everything there, and there's a big community, but it's mostly for training purposes. And that's Tobyhanna Army Depot, if anybody's ever heard of it, and that's in Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania. We have Fort Dix, which is about an hour and a half from us, but that's the biggest installation near us. Every now and then I would take a ride up there, try to meet up with spouses, but it was difficult being, again, with my schedule, my work schedule, my school schedule, my son's schedule, taking care of his needs. And of course there's Fort Indiantown Gap here in Pennsylvania, but that, again, that's a National Guard training post, and as well as Air Force goes there to train. So it's very hard to find spouses or even family members that have that type of communication, you know what I mean, that you can build with them. So yeah, I mean, what worked for me, social networking, that was the top thing. Facebook, MySpace at the time, LinkedIn, Twitter. Even though I don't really use those as much, I'm going to definitely say that Facebook was the biggest. I have the biggest amount of military friends that I have never met that I can actually call friends on Facebook. And that's pretty amazing to me, because they were there when I needed that emotional support. And even so, if, you know, going through that transition back into the civilian life, it goes, you know, to say that you need that support. And even now, I mean, we're not even, how can I say this? I wouldn't even consider ourselves 100% civilians. I mean, obviously we're not, but living the civilian lifestyle, because he is so involved in his OCS, and he's so involved with ADSW orders and going back and forth, being called into duty. So it's kind of like we're getting, I don't want to say the best of both worlds, because honestly, I mean, being in the military lifestyle, to us, I mean, we enjoy it so much. But we are, you know, he's hopping back and forth from his civilian job to his military job, and in between when I do get to see him, I don't know whether he's coming or going. He goes from putting his scrubs on, because he's a nurse, to taking his scrubs off to putting his uniform on, you know, his other military uniform on, and he's constantly in between that, and it's just a very crazy time for us now. But hopefully when all is said and done, we can just sit back and kind of be like, ooh, that's done. You know, so I just want to definitely encourage those who are going through something similar, and just letting them know that there is support out there. There's lots of groups. I'm actually going to be putting on the site below this video, on the Hun, not on YouTube, but on the Hun below in this area down here, I'll put some resources for you. Some National Guard, some Reserve resources, hopefully, and also check out the resources tab, which I believe is up on the bar up here on the website, and there's some really great resources to find the nearest base, well, the base or the installation nearest to you, as well as some great websites for support. Maybe you can find some ladies in your area, as well as, you know, if you're not a member yet of the Homefront United Network, go ahead and do so, because we have the option for you to search through the member database, and you can check for spouses or family members that are near your area, which is a great tool. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make it so where you needed to sign up for the, you know, for the website. And it only takes a couple minutes, so please, if you're not a member yet of the Homefront United Network, there's a gray bar right above my head on the website, and go ahead, click on, I believe it just says sign up, and it only takes a couple seconds. And make sure you click on that confirmation email that gets sent straight to your email, or else you cannot log in. But that's pretty much really what I wanted to come and, you know, reach out to my Guard and Reserve. I have some really great resources that I'm working on for the site. So now that our male military spouse page is up, I'm really going to be focusing most of my time to the Guard and Reserve section of the page, just because we have some great articles up right now that kind of help. I mean, they're going to help everyone, but I really just want to have that focus for you, you know, because of just the situations that we're facing, and being that we do just as much as anybody else. So again, don't let anybody make you feel that you're not important, because you are. It doesn't matter, you know, your length of deployment, your status. The whole purpose is that you serve your country, your service member, and you serve your country for standing behind your service member. And that's what's important, and that's what a lot of people need to understand, civilians and even some military that still just don't grasp that concept. So that's what the Hun is here for, to help and support you, and I hope to get some new content up really soon. Please leave comments below and let me know what you want to see. I'm going to be making a couple more videos for the Guard and Reserve, discussing getting more into detail about resources and things like that. But I just wanted to take these couple of minutes to really thank everyone for supporting us. I mean, without you guys, we really wouldn't have a site, especially with all the wonderful team members that we have for the Hun, our writers, and of course co-founder Nicole and our manager Katie. They're doing a fabulous job, and we're all leading very, very busy, hectic, crazy lives right now. So it's very important for us to take that time and just thank each and every one of you for caring so much about encouraging our military. Alright, that's it for now. Again, please leave some comments, let us know what you want to see, and I hope to make another video soon so I can reach out to more service members and families. Thank you, take care, bye.